Good evening. Welcome to the March 11th, 2025 regular Foxborough School Committee meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxborough Cable Access. We are going to start off tonight with open public comment, but I believe right now there is none. So seeing none, we're going to move on to the approval of minutes. So everyone has minutes in their packet here. It looks like December 10th. 2024 regular meeting minutes are in here.
I make a motion to approve the December 10th, 2024 school committee meeting minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? All right, all in favor of approval of the minutes? And that would be 500. Thank you very much on that. Okay, now everyone's favorite part of the meeting. We have teaching and learning highlights. We have Mr. Robert Worth, Colleen Foley, Miss Makepeace. Who else is going to be coming up? We have Carrie LeBlanc, Alicia.
Pam. Alicia's my sister.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pam Morrissey.
Foxborough.
Pam Morrissey.
Bartolini.
Bartolini. And am I missing anyone? I got everyone. Great. Thank you all for being here.
So do you want me to start us off? Awesome. So we came tonight to share about the Developmental Learning Center, which is a sub-separate program for students in grades K through 4 housed at Borough Elementary School. We have two, we call it the DLC for short, so we have two DLC classrooms at Borough. And Mrs. Foley is the lead teacher for one of the classrooms. Mrs. Makepeace, or they're Miss Marvis and Miss Colleen is how they're known locally at the school. Miss Marvis is the lead teacher in the other classroom. They have their amazing students, and they're also supported by an incredible staff of educational assistants in their programs as well. And the work that these ladies and their staff do day in and day out is truly magical and so exciting to see. So we're very excited to share tonight. So, we go to the first slide. One of the key components of the program, and one of the, when we kind of think about like the profiles of the kids who are supported by this program, one of the key features is that they all have all of the children in the DLC would fall into, if we kind of think about language in this framework of social, of SIRT, so that stands for Social Communication, Emotional Regulation, and Transactional Supports. It's a program that we've had a lot of training in here in Foxborough. And when we think about the children in the Developmental Learning Center, they're going to fall into either the social partner category or the language partner category. So these are children who learning how to communicate is an integral part of their ability to access the curriculum. They have to learn how to communicate. For some children, they're learning how to communicate with oral language. For most children, though, it's a combination of oral language and other supports. So this is referred to as AAC, which is augmentative and alternative communication. So for some children, these AAC supports add to the communication that they have, the oral communication that they have. For other children, it's an alternative communication devices. You know, in the year 2025, it's really exciting that we have all this technology at our hands that 20 years ago we didn't. You know, iPads didn't exist 20 years ago. Now they do, and there are apps that you can download in the App Store that open up communication amazingly for these children. So we have some children using an app called Touch Chat that is actually depicted in the bottom. Actually, these are all variations of the Touch Chat app that you see here. There's a lot of different screens. We also have children communicating with apps that are more heavily emphasizing the motor planning abilities and harnessing those abilities to help children communicate. So we have to do a lot of feature matching when we're deciding which type of communication device is the best fit. And then the real work is what happens all day long in the classrooms with the teachers in consultation with myself and, of course, the educational assistants in carrying out this communication all day. Because you think about how many language models babies have from the time they're born until the time they get older, and they learn language around like 12 months of age. They start communicating in just single words. How much oral language have they heard, right? And you wouldn't expect a child exposed to American English to suddenly start speaking in Spanish when they've never been exposed to it. Similarly, for children who are going to communicate with augmentative communication, they need models in that language system. Even though it's on a device, it's still language. Those language models have to be provided all day, so we do family training, and we also carry that out all day long in the classrooms, and it's incredible the amount of growth that, you know, I'm a speech pathologist, and so seeing the communication growth within these children from these classrooms, thanks to the dedication of the teachers and the ed assistants, is phenomenal. Oh, sorry, and visual supports, yes. This is also an integral part of the programming for the children. So just as spoken language is an area of challenge universally for these children, comprehension can also be an area of difficulty. So all language throughout the whole day is supported with visuals. So that's picture symbols. The staff augment that with some sign language as well, pairing their spoken language with sign to make the language system more visual for the children and enhance their comprehension. On the right-hand side, you see there's some pictures on a little key ring. Those, the staff carry around with those all day long, because sometimes, especially if a child has become dysregulated, processing additional language input during a moment of dysregulation is going to be that much more difficult. So we want to try to help that child become more regulated. We want to try to remove that, as much of that area of difficulty as we can. So simply presenting a visual of, you know, stand up, or let's walk, or, you know, whatever it might be, or, you know, go to the crash mat and have a minute, you know, whatever the what we're trying to do to help that child re-regulate, presenting just a visual can often help them shift. Visual schedules, predictability is a huge component of the program. A predictable schedule and a predictable environment help maintain regulation. So that, again, is something that is built in all day long. Children have individual schedules, they have classroom schedules, and it really provides a sense of safety to the children that enables them to best access their learning.
The other thing that it does is it increases their independence. So if they have the pictures in front of them, there was a picture of like a friend and they would say hi to them, because a child isn't going to come up and say hi to his other friend, and to work on the concept of who is this, and they say hi to their peers. So it increases that and their social awareness of their friends.
Another piece that relates to the neurodivergent profile of students in the DLC is their universal need for sensory input. So each individual student in the DLC has a unique set of like sensory needs. So sometimes they'll crave sensory input in certain areas, and in different areas they might avoid sensory input. For example, if you bring them into the auditorium and during an assembly, it might be too loud, it might be too much auditory input for them to tolerate. So that could feed into some dysregulation. Other students crave crashing. That provides their body with like proprioception, and that helps their body feel a better sense of like body awareness, a sense of calm, and it helps them regulate. So each individual child in the DLC has their own sensory needs. The needs are ever changing. They're unpredictable every day. You never know what you're going to get, type of thing. But all of the staff, the teachers, the ed assistants, everyone knows what type of input works for each individual student. And we all work together to try to help maintain their self-regulation so they're more available for learning. If they're not regulated, then there's no point in trying to teach them, because they're going to be too distracted with that sensory stimuli, and they're not going to be able to access the curriculum. So it's like this constant ebb and flow between us and them and trying to maintain regulation from a sensory perspective throughout each and every day, all day long. So here is just a few pictures of the kids getting various types of input. Griffin jumping on the trampoline over there, he's getting vestibular and proprioceptive input that helps a lot of the kids regulate. It improves, their ability to focus, their ability to attend, which is going to improve their ability to engage in the curriculum. Killian at the bottom wearing a weighted vest, that provides proprioception, so that's that deep pressure, and that just gives him a sense of calm and makes him feel better. He definitely seeks that out. And top left is Cam, so he's on the swing. They love that vestibular input on the swing. It help them feel more organized, more calm. That input to their body just helps their sensory system. We're supposed to talk about coaching.
And we carry on the sensory diet throughout the whole day.
Yeah, constant. I mean, we work with these guys to try to figure out each kid. It's like detective work, and then we think we figure it out. And then we train all the staff and then do our best and then put all of our heads together. So,
And Carrie and I also, we use a co-treatment model for the children in the DLC. For a lot of children, it's actually super beneficial between occupational therapy and speech and language therapy. And a lot of times for kids with neurodivergent needs, whether they're diagnosed with autism or Down syndrome or some other type of neurodiversity, feeding their sensory system helps with their ability to organize themselves, and that in turn helps them to better access their language and communication. And we've seen incredible things sometimes just when a kid's on the swing, for example, and their ability to direct us about whether they want to stop or go fast. Today we were working with a group of students, and one of the boys, he is an oral communicator who uses augmentative communication supports, but at this time he was communicating orally, and I just gave him a little model on the swing. He wanted to go really fast on the swing, so I was like, okay, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, blast off. And then he started spontaneously putting that together, and he formed it into a new script of let's do blast off again. And he did that multiple times, and he was laughing and smiling. And when it was time to shift from that activity, he shifted in a second because he got the input he needed. He was ready to shift. And this is a child who at other times during the day, when he's being asked to shift and transition, he struggles. So I thought that was a great example of the way he was able to access that sensory input, access his language, meet his needs, and then be able to move about the rest of his day.
And I would say the sensory piece at this point isn't just for kids in the DLC, it's for all kids. So we have a lot of kids just in the general education setting that benefit from sensory input. I know we had one in Evan McCarthy's room a few years back that was almost mute, like he wouldn't talk at all. And then we started taking him and trying some sensory strategies, and then he just started talking. So it was pretty awesome. And then we provided him to sit on a ball in the classroom to rev his body up, so he was more alert for learning and participating in the kindergarten classroom. So it was awesome to see.
And we have a slide up for modified academics. So in the classroom, Marvis and I, sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Just for the people at home.
Yes, sorry, we're at home. We work heavily utilizing the practices of ABA as a component of what we do for teaching, but we offer supports including these sensory pieces and these communication pieces into every single lesson. So you can see in the bottom, I have a friend who is using Play-Doh, and he's stamping his sight words into the Play-Doh, where our students are accessing the key components of those grade level standards, and we're finding ways to meet them at their developmental level. So he's doing his grade level sight words, he's stamping them in, he's getting that squishing, he's getting a lot of input out of that. Some of the students might have some fine motor needs, so they aren't necessarily writing their words. We have them cutting out their words, sequencing them to create a sentence to match a picture, and that's how they're being able to meet some of their writing standards. Additionally, you can kind of see two of my friends doing the writing. They're also putting that into their communication devices, so we're not only fostering them understanding how to sequence these words and starting with a capital and ending with an end piece and end punctuation, but we're also having them communicate using for a lot of them, that's their primary language output, so they can know how to really get their information out into the world, and that's really important when we're teaching them these standards. We have kids working individually with teachers. You can kind of see me working with my friend Rory in the top, and we are working side by side. At times we also group the kids. There's a little math lesson of me with two of my friends doing some math in the middle there, and they have their hands-on pieces, the digi-blocks, which are really cool to teach math, and it's really amazing once you see that click of just understanding, especially when we're teaching kids, tens and ones. It's amazing when all of a sudden they're like, ooh, we need to regroup, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. The things that they have, it's wonderful. Each and every student that Marvis and I teach has a completely individualized curriculum that we've created for their specific needs. And I know, and it's heavily backed up with some intensive data collection that we do as well.
And we just don't work on academics, we work on self-care skills. There's a lot of toileting because most of these children have sensory needs about dressing or undressing. Just using toilet paper can become a problem. We do a lot of different eating skills, using utensils, how to take bites out of food and not break it up. All those, again, are sensory issues. There's a lot of data collection that we do so that we can modify something if they're not learning. And we brainstorm as a team, what can we do about this? Do you think it's sensory? Do you think, what's the function of the behavior? That's a critical component that we look at so that we know why are they doing that? Can we teach them another strategy to overcome this and work with them? So there's a lot of collaboration. Also, we work a lot on safety skills because these students have no awareness of safety. They will climb and jump off something super high or run, and so we have to teach them what's safe and what's not safe.
And Marvis and I are only two people, so we do rely so heavily on the support of the support staff in our classroom, the ed assistants, to help us keep our kiddos safe and help this happen all day long so that they can understand.
So we also
sorry.
work on, that's okay, alternate assessments. And again, because it's very individualized, we are held to the standards of the curriculum framework. So whatever grade they're in, if they're in third or fourth, it's, we focus on those. Materials are all made for them. The standards we pick are usually things that are more functional in their lives so that they can see patterns in things. You have to collect data.
We pull the skills off of the standards, but we meet them at their developmental level. This is in lieu of the computer MCAS that everyone takes. So this is a year-long effort that we have to do for, in our case, third and fourth grade, but it continues on past into the higher grade levels as well for anyone who is in a substantially separate classroom that requires an alternative assessment instead of the MCAS. And it's an enormous effort that goes through everything we create by hand, essentially. We graph, and then we report it out to the families, and then it gets sent into the MCAS, into the state for that. I think that was all on
One piece that I know that you do with your kids for the MCAS alternative portfolios is you have a little About Me section at the beginning with some of their interests, and that's always really exciting. And that's, again, a piece where you have to utilize kind of some different strategies for their communication, whether it's their communication device or selection of some different picture options based on your knowledge of the kids, what you think they might choose to talk about, the things that the children like, the things, what are their favorite parts of the school day, what are things that they want to learn more about. And I always think that that's a really exciting part of the alternative portfolio's for the MCAS.
Yeah, I agree. And they have to make their own covers, and those always come out as a treat. So the whole program is really just a multidisciplinary approach. The four of us work really closely. We also work very closely with our physical therapist, and our BCBA also consults with us. We have adaptive specials in all areas, so this is additional specials for music, art, and wellness that we are able to let the students work on any little skills that they need. So if a student, for example, is really just working on pinching and tearing, we can just do that during our art class with a smaller group with all of our support staff and our teachers in there. And then that can make them a little bit more successful when they go in, if they're going to go in with their grade level classroom, and they can understand, oh, I need to do the pinch and tear thing again. That's right. So we can kind of pre-teach and reteach with that, but also work on a lot of those skills, following multi-step directions with visuals as well. We have our adaptive wellness and then adaptive music in addition, where again we follow a visual routine, and the students can just get that predictability and have exposure to those really important programs that are part of everyone's day. And we are fortunate enough that on Fridays we have a licensed music therapist that comes out and works with us in the DLC classroom, and the kids love it, and she does a wonderful job of engaging them. Anything that I missed on those?
No.
I just want to add that this picture is one of my favorite pictures. It's both your classrooms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a adaptive art day, I believe.
So yeah, the classes get to come together and work with one another as well, which is awesome. And I love seeing like the way the adults and the kids are interacting here. It's really cool.
We also are rooted very heavily in really making sure we're maximizing our inclusive practices. So we have our students finding ways to get into the classroom and having those be really meaningful and really important to their learning. So for some students that might look like going in and greeting a peer and giving a high five and generating that relationship with their teacher and their friends. And for other students, they're going in and they're completing modified academic tasks. And it really varies. And again, it's individual to every single kid. Each of them has a very unique integration schedule that really just meets their needs, and that can change day to day as well. Some days we'll go in and my student says, not happening today, and I say, okay, thank you for communicating. And that's, we're honoring and fostering that for them. There's other days they're like, we don't want to leave, and I'm like, all right, I guess we're staying a little longer. We'll just swing this and make it happen, right? We also have some reverse inclusion opportunities, some snack buddies from the grade level classrooms will come in and eat snack with us. For some kids, the large environment is just too overwhelming. We'll speak a little bit more in a later slide about some leadership buddies that are also coming into our classes. And I know that some of them have kind of some standing times where they'll go in and play games.
Yes,
with
some of the
peers.
students will go in, they will play a game with peers, and their classmates that are in that grade level, they always, are you coming in to play the game today? And they're real anxious and love that. We also have the students eat in the cafeteria, which is great. And they also go out to recess with their grade level peers. So we try to integrate as much as we can.
Before we move on, I just want to highlight the reverse inclusion opportunities have been amazingly successful for our entire school. So we have always done a little bit of this, but within the past year and a half or so, we've started to do a lot more of this, to the point where classrooms literally have wait lists of students who are waiting to sign up to go and visit our DLC classrooms. So it's become a real part of our culture, not just in one grade level, but really across the entire school community. So.
Yeah, it's been great. These are just some more photos of some really successful and fun activities in the class. And it's really nice because you can see with the model of us being able to be so inclusive and do some of these items, we have a wonderful general education teacher we're working with. She's learning a little bit about the augmentative communication as well, and she was supporting our friend Killian in the bottom picture there, being able to talk out to his class. And you can see that the kids really jump in themselves. Like up in the top corner, there's a little girl that was playing with one of our friends doing Legos, and she just spontaneously came over. She wanted to come and play with him, and I think that's when you see the meaningful connections that they're making, because those two are in aftercare in this photograph, but they're in the same grade level class during the day. So she kind of seeked him out, which was really nice. The buddies, it's very near and dear to me. We have a beautiful, this is our second year with our fourth grade leaders. I know that they came last year. I was on maternity leave, so I missed it. But they came last year and got to speak to you all about our first year doing the leadership program. These kiddos kind of like applied to be part of it. They wrote out like why they wanted to participate. And it's wonderful. We have 22 kids this year that are in our 4th grade leadership program. They meet with myself and Mrs. Fuller once a month before school, and we go over a variety of topics and planning pieces for the Special Olympics. And then these guys go, half of them go into our APE class, which is what the specialized gym class we were talking about. And they each have a buddy that they support, and they are just genuinely friends with and doing the activities together. And then the other half of that leadership group are coming into the DLC classrooms once a week, and they're doing a reading program that we launched this year. So they read a story, and then they participate in some interactive play with the kiddos in our class. And it's been wonderful because they get to learn a little bit, it's not only like learning empathy, but they're supporting, and they're just so caring, and they're like, oh, I want to learn a little bit about their talker, and they'll go over and they'll do that. And I just kind of step back and watch them half the time, and they lead the way. They're so amazing and interacting with one another. And then these 4th graders, the readers are going to come be fans in the stands, and then the buddies who are in the gym class are going to be unified partners in May when we have our Special Olympics games. So that's going to be really nice. So if they're practicing passing the balloon in gym class, they are going to be ready and be able to do pass the balloon as buddies and work, competing with one another on the Special Olympics day.
There's also a couple of students that are taking sign language classes because they wanted to better communicate with the kids, which is just amazing.
But, this slide, we just put up a couple of just wonderful photos to sum up our kiddos, but, just embracing, engaging, and empowering all students, and in our classroom, our neurodivergent students, meeting them with whatever they need.
So amazing. Thank you guys for being so thorough. I feel like I went through a day in your program. You guys were so awesome. I really appreciate you being here. Anyone have any questions or comments? Sure.
Thank you, first of all. And it's such a great window into a program that not enough people know intimately. So I'm so great, and thank you, Mr. Worth, for helping them get more kids into that classroom, because I think it's just it's better for everybody. I was curious, mostly just because for my own broad education about this. How's the transition? How does the transition work from your standpoint between, say, Burrell and then your 4s going on to 5? Like, because I know you've all invested
Ahern.
so much time in these kids, but they do move on.
Yeah.
What's that look like?
Well, I try not to cry to start. Usually, that's step one.
Good luck.
Because especially with us, we have these kids kindergarten all the way through 4th grade. So we are invested in their learning. We're invested in, the trajectory. I think that the first steps with that is us, reviewing the programs that are available over at the Ahern at the time, because a lot of them are adjusting their ebb and flow as, different groups of kids come through, and collaborating, as particularly when we're looking at their IEP and how that'll translate over when they go to the middle school. And I think us being able to just have very transparent conversations with the families and transparent conversations with the teachers over at the Ahern to say, hey, these are some things we've tried. This is what we found successful. How does that translate to when you are heading up to the middle school?
The middle school teachers will come over and do observations.
Good.
And we'll chat with them. We'll give them any of the resources that we've made for that child that can help them if they want it. Here you go, because we usually have a notebook or materials that are specific to that child. And then we're always open to helping them out in conversations via email, phone, whatever works, because we want the best for those children.
The transition, for any child who's receiving supports through an individual education program is really something that's thoughtfully done across, all of the transitions in a child's education. So from pre-K to K, 4 to 5, 8 to 9. So for all families, we will hold transition meetings, but for these children with more intensive needs who require more of this sub-separate setting, we look in particular at certain facets of their learning. So we look at their cognitive profiles, we look at their communication abilities, we look at their self-regulation needs, and then we look at their social comprehension, like what do they know about the way the social world around them looks, and kind of looking at children's needs in those different capacities helps guide some of our placement and then guide some of those conversations. I think some pieces that are particularly important for the children in the DLC, whether they're coming into this program or exiting this program, are those family connections and making sure that the families have the opportunity to meet with the receiving teachers, to tour the programs, to get a feel for the building. And I think it's something that we're continually striving to get better at. I think, even thinking about things like orientation, we've spoken about, for kindergarten orientation, how can we support the families in the DLC better through that? So it's something that we're certainly we have not perfected it, but we're trying to grow and we're trying to make it better. And it's great when we hear feedback from families too about this worked really well for us. Here's where we felt like we were maybe a little bit blindsided by something, and here's some steps to make it better.
Just to expand on what you said, the families play a critical role throughout their child's education. We do a wonderful job collaborating with all of our families in the school, but this particular subgroup of families, it's extremely important that the relationship is constantly collaborative and communicative. I know that this team here, they do a great job of communicating extensively with families throughout their time at Burrell, and getting the same teacher year to year is really helpful in doing that, building that strong relationship. And then as the student moves on to middle school and then middle school to high school, I know that the family always feels like they have that strong relationship with the school because that's established at an early age, and then it's expanded upon as they grow.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Approximately how many students?
Currently, we have 11. I have 7 in my classroom currently, and I believe you have 4?
Yes.
Yes, so 11 altogether. I have 7 and she has 4.
Thank you. Just personally, this is a story I needed to hear today, so thank you very much for that. I can imagine that you guys go home every evening exhausted and energized about the really, the important small victories that happen every day, as you described for us, and what these presentations always remind me of is if you were to take the roof off of the building, off of one of our school buildings, just the different hives of activity that are going on, and the creativity and the magic that you're all doing to help our students find success. So I know I use those kind of words a lot after these presentations, but literally every single one of you guys inspire me every time we hear one of these. And we're also grateful for, as well as our community is really grateful. So thank you so much.
We had a cool, spontaneous video today that happened in one of our OT speech sessions, and we tried to get it into the PowerPoint. We were too late because it just happened today. But maybe we could find a way to send it along to school committees so you guys could see it, because it was really
That'd
cool.
be great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Oh,
May I?
sure.
Hi, I'm Peter Charbonneau. I'm Killian's dad that they talked about today. And Mr. Reuter, to your point, one of our most encouraging aspects of what they do here is when they transition to the Ahern, the peer groups that they've been integrated with in their mainstream classrooms will all have those relationships with our special needs children to make that transition easier, because everything else is going to be new. But those students that they meet now and form those relationships with are going to be special when they get there. So that's what we're excited about with what they're doing, is that's building the relationship for the anti-bullying and all of those other separate issues that we talk about with all of our students to be inclusive and tolerant and empathetic. That's what they're building here, and that's what we're excited about. And Killian's only in 2nd grade now, so he still has a couple more years left here, we're thankful for. But yes, we're nervous about that transition as well, but we're excited because of the bonds they make with the other students. So,
Thank you
So
so much.
great.
thank
Thank
them for
you.
everything.
Thank you. So nice. Oh, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for all your work and for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing. It's so nice to have teaching and learning back.
Well, clearly you can see the integration of their team as the
Yeah.
adults and the way they work together, and that translates into the classrooms.
The trickle down.
It absolutely does. So
100%.
very talented staff that are working with our very
Yes.
awesome kids.
We're going to slide right into the superintendent update. So Dr.
Okay.
Burdos.
So we have a lot of congratulations to go around, talking about fabulous kids from our very youngest learners to as they get older. So just wanted to send a shout out to some of those that participated in our jazz program and that they had participated in the Massachusetts Jazz Education Festival recently, taking home many awards, including gold medals for Jazz Lab Band, Jazz Ensemble, from vocals, individual soloist awards, and some of our brass players and our woodwind players as well. Just really quite extraordinary. And then also a special shout out to Nola Gooch, who's one of our seniors. And we've learned, if you're a high school parent, you've heard this through Dr. Donovan's update, but she's been accepted into the prestigious NYU Jazz Band that runs through Carnegie Hall. So that National Youth Orchestra program that she'll be participating in invites students from all over the United States to be able to apply, audition, and then if they're accepted into the program, they're working with some of the finest jazz students in the country, and then they go around in the summer and they play like across the world, which is just extraordinary. So those that are selected and tour all over the world, it's a 4-week experience where they go and they play. They've traveled to China, they've traveled to South Africa, to the UK, Latin America. It's all expenses paid for those, and she's one of 20 that was selected from across the continental United States to be able to play in that. So it's an incredible honor that she'll be able to do touring this summer in South America and performing under the Carnegie Hall banner. So to receive that, she's also joining, you might remember, Emma Lacey from class of 2023, who also was selected for that prestigious honor. So pretty cool. Pretty
amazing.
Cool. Again, also pretty cool continues like our students that participated in DECA. So the state competition took place recently, and then they will be going on after they've had 3 different leadership awards and will compete for the international competition that's later this spring in Florida. Also in Florida coming up this weekend is our cheerleaders. They came in second in the state, and they will be going to the competition for nationals this weekend, so we wish them the best of luck. Our girls basketball team, so what a run. I mean, getting all the way, the season and the quarterfinals, and so didn't have the outcome that we hoped for last night, but just an extraordinary season for them, too. And then Audrey Paolino, want to do a shout out for her as well as a finalist for the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. So again, congratulations to her. Spring sports are starting on Monday. Spring feels it's in the air. You actually can enjoy that a little bit, which is great. And just a couple more reminders. Tomorrow we've got 3 of you that are going to the legislative breakfast for the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents. So looking forward to that with our state reps that will be there and really talk about what are the challenges in education, and for them to hear from a local level what those challenges and how it impacts us here. And then the last thing is just tomorrow from 9 to 1, our student council will be holding a blood drive at the high school. And so that is something that you can sign up for, and it will be in the cafeteria, not the cafeteria, in the gym. So lots going on. Lots going on.
A lot of good stuff.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you. Anyone have any questions or anything? No? All right. Well, we're going to move right on to Stevie Strahan. She's going to give us our student update.
Okay, so to start it off, World Culture Night is going to be on April 14th. It will be held in the cafeteria of the high school here, and then there will also be an art show at the same time held in the media center at the high school. Cool. As was mentioned, tryouts are coming up for spring sports, and then the blood drive tomorrow from 9 to 1 in the gym at the high school. Oh, for World Culture Night, you can also now email culturenight@outlook.com. That can be accessed by any account. It doesn't have to be a Foxborough account now. And then there is a clothing drive happening. The drive boxes are located in the cafeteria, gym, main office, at the high school, and then there's also boxes at the charter school. So there's an Instagram account for that one as well, that it can be found on the website, like the school website. And then there is 69 days until summer.
I have a quick question. The clothing drive, is that used clothing, shoes,
Any
coats, anything?
Yeah, any just clothing.
Clothing. Okay, great, and thank you. And just to, Yasmin will not be here for the month of March in observance of Ramadan, so I did want to just recognize her absence and thank her for her efforts as well. Thank you very much, Stevie, for
She is still sending me a bunch of things to be talking about.
Oh, she is. Oh.
She's just not able to
Okay, well,
actually.
we'll have the community update unless you want us to hang on for a sec. Okay, we'll have the community update and if there's anything else, but thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the Massachusetts School Building Authority Statement of Interest. So we have Dr. Burdos and Ms. Sheridan going to talk to us a little bit, and I see a familiar face in the gallery, Mr. Bill Yukna.
So I think that's great that Bill's able to be here. So he came in last week and was working with us on our statement of interest. As you know, we have submitted the statement of interest 3 times for the Taylor School, and we have not been accepted into the program, and we are going a 4th time. It is due on April the 11th. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're really focusing on the application and maybe some changes that we can make to make the application stronger. And not getting invited, we know that we are compared against many, many schools across the Commonwealth. We know that there's only so much money that they're able to invite schools into that process. But what are some things that we can do to strengthen the application? And that's what we've been working on, and that really has to do with the overall educational program too. We know that the footprint, the design of that building is inefficient in meeting the educational needs of our students. Our teachers and staff do an amazing job, but when you have classrooms that are right off the cafeteria and classrooms right off the gymnasium, it doesn't really provide for a great learning environment. So we're trying to do some tweaks to that application to strengthen it. At the same time is continue to articulate all of the things that need to be renovated, replaced, et cetera. So that application is due on April 11th. It does require, as part of that application, that you have the support of the school committee by vote at a meeting, because we have to actually put the date from the school committee meeting and the vote in that application before we submit it. So you have in your packet the replacement renovation section, our priority area 5 and priority area 7, which really kind of outlines all of the different pieces. I'm not going to go through that because you've had that in the past, but it is a great opportunity if you have questions. I mean, we're fortunate with Bill continuing to be the chair of the permanent building committee in town, that he is still right there leading that work. So we're very fortunate there. So I don't know questions that you have, or to even invite Bill up to speak into it more specifically.
This is something we've had I feel like a little bit of deja vu. We've talked about this quite a bit over the last 3 years. So I don't know if anyone has any specific questions on this, but.
And I know you guys have told me this, or told us this before. Does the funding change every year as far as what is available, or does it just grow exponentially with the rate of inflation? And
well, as far as the cost for the renovation.
I mean from the state. I'm sorry, from the Mass School Building Association.
I don't know if Bill's going to be able to answer that a little bit better. One of the things that we know that they're looking to get more money to fund more projects, so that definitely is a conversation. We had the post-occupancy visit for the borough. We felt as though that part of that is being able to give what works, to be able to advocate for more funding, what needs to be done, because there's definitely more projects that than what they're able to fund.
Yeah, and generally the money for the MSBA comes out of the lottery as one of the additional funding sources. So it is somewhat constrained in that way. It goes to a number of areas, but the MSBA's major funding comes from there. The thing now that we're trying to impress on this is that this is a 61-year-old building that while we have done some pretty good things on doing the roof over, doing the heating system, even though we did the roof over, it's now 20 years since we did that. The heating system is only about 6 or 7 years old, but we designed and installed that based on what we thought the addition to the building would be, so that it survived that part of it. So at least we don't have to repay for that, which should save us a fair amount of money. But as Dr. Berto said, there's a significant amount of issues within the building that make it difficult for a lot of things efficiency-wise as far as heating. The windows are single-pane windows, aluminum without any kind of thermal break, so you get a lot of cold air on the outer walls. The wall heating units aren't even allowed anymore because A, they're too noisy, and B, they don't really circulate air as well as you need to have it done. And the absolute worst part about it is the gym and the cafeteria.
Yeah.
I just don't even understand how an architect could think that that was a logical setup. But, we've learned a lot from the Borough project, which is nice. We could do a lot of things we did at the Borough, we could do at the Taylor. We are suggesting by using 5 and 7, 5 and 7 basically says you're going to renovate the major structures of the building. And 7 basically says that you're going to add on. And what we've suggested that we would do would be similar to the Borough in adding a gym on, so that we can get the gym out of the structure of the building and reuse that space, similar to the way we reuse the space at the Borough to be, potentially something like art and music, having its own classified areas, and basically redesign it that way. And in the cafeteria area is to basically create hallways that go around it, which means we may need to take the front rooms off and add them to the cafeteria, but then add, like we did, a room or two to the side of the building. The nice thing is, you're sitting on a good-sized piece of property, and, we have that ability. The structure of the building, like the Borough, is fine. It's actually, we've been very fortunate in everything that was built in the 60s in town here was done well. And so I think from that perspective, we are fortunate that we save a lot of money in what we do. It makes it a little bit trickier, as you saw with the Borough, being over a 3-year period of time. And I think the teachers did a phenomenal job. We've learned some new things there as far as how we move merchandise and materials inside, and we got really efficient at doing that. But I think this is really, it's time. We're going to give everything we can into this thing. Like I said, we almost had it the first year, which shocked us. And then all of a sudden not to get anything for a couple of years is a little bit amazing. And I know there's some huge projects out there that are going on with the state right now. But we also think that there might have been an issue with the fact that the Borough project took so long to close. We had a lot of issues with the contractor. And literally we battled with them for 2 years after substantial completion. So we are just finally finalizing all of the documents with the MSBA. And I have to think they didn't want to have 2 projects open in a community. So by having that one closed at this point, hopefully we'll have a better shot at it.
Okay. And remind us of the timeline. So we put the submission in April, and then
So
what's the
submission
process?
goes in, and by April, they usually let you know by November or December if you've been selected to move forward into the next phase. The next phase takes you, and you don't hear about that until January, February of that next year. So now we're into 2026. Then you have about a 90-day window in which there's a lot of reporting that you have to do back. Part of it's on the curriculum side, which we went through studies on when we did it. Part of it's on enrollment projections and what do you believe, your next 10 years will look like in enrollments, and how do you, justify the space that you're asking for. And then once you get past that, then you get into the actual phase where they invite you into the final thing, saying, yes, they agree. They agreed on the enrollment, they agreed on the curriculum plan, and now they're ready to actually fund moving forward. At that point, we actually need town funding. We believe we typically need funding after they let you in, because you have to hire an OPM right away. And in that process at the borough, it was about $800,000 to get us through all the development of rough plans and projections that way.
And throughout the, thank you. Throughout the process, is it closed, or do you get feedback throughout the process around what you might need to either add to or adjust?
The MSBA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's constant conversation with
Okay.
them. They actually sit in on most of these meetings. They have their consultants that are sitting there doing a lot of the study work with you, asking the questions, making sure that you don't have an issue. We've never had a problem once we've been invited in as far as making it through the thing. The two big hurdles, obviously, once you get invited in, is will the town agree to the funding? And, do you have a plan that basically gets you an end result that everybody can live with? So getting invited in is really the key here.
Okay.
Thank you.
First up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill.
All right.
So motion to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form by April 11th, 2025 for the Taylor Elementary School located at wherever it's located. 196 South Street. Or something.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion, questions, comments? All right. All in favor? All right. Thank you very much. 500. Send it off and,
Fingers crossed.
yep, cross your fingers. Next, we will go to our policy subcommittee. We have, oh, I'm so sorry, School of Choice, sorry. We have an action on school vote, we have an action on voting in School of Choice. And we have, in the past, this is something in my tenure that we have not done. And Dr. Burtis, if you'd like to speak to that a little bit.
Sure. This is a requirement, an annual requirement by school committee to vote whether we're going to elect to participate in school choice. Historically, the school committee has voted not to participate in school choice for a myriad of reasons. Those including when we think about the funding that comes in. Your funding is not at the per pupil expenditure that we have. There's a lot of other regulations that go along with it. So I'm happy to answer questions, but I know it is something that many of you are familiar with, or you might have other comments.
Yes. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Is there any discussion on this? This week, I did personally look up, and our per pupil expenditure is hovering around $20,500 per student, and the state reimbursement is at $5,000. So, that's a lot. It's a big disparity to open up School of Choice when it's approximately $15,000 deficit right there.
I know, speaking with many of my colleagues, the ones whose districts have opted in to have school choice, it's because their district really needed the students in order to stay viable as a school district. That is not our context.
Right.
So motion to not participate in the school choice program.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? Okay, all in favor of foregoing the School of Choice program for the 2025
school year.
2025 to 26 school year? All right, 500. Thank you very much. All right, now we're on to our policy subcommittee, and once again, a humongous thank you. You guys have taken on just a mountain of work, and I know the rest of the committee totally appreciate it. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about where we're at this week? I know we have a bunch of second reads, but if you guys want to give us a quick update.
Yeah. Start with the update?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. So we'll start with our update. We've been busy. We've having meetings almost every week. We had one today, last Thursday, I think. We're busy. We finished our initial review of all 284 policies. So we've looked at them. Out of those 284, 144 of them me and Brent have just reaffirmed we don't think there's any need for any changes or anything right away. Out of the other 140 that we have left, 46 of them we're still kind of we put them in the continued review, the research phase, where we're answering questions, talking amongst ourselves, kind of comparing with other towns, MASC, what we think is the best course of action. A lot of those will be simple housekeeping things, but there might be some bigger ones in there. We have, Brent, you want to?
Yeah, sure. And that, yeah, thank you. And then we've got about 50 or so policies that will be or have been farmed out to different departments across the district. It's anywhere from 5 to 10. Looking at Mr. Michael Lazik, he'll have good fun with that when that comes his way. Dr. Burrows will as well. Transportation, our head nurse, things like that. And that's just simply because, you know, if there's a specific technical knowledge or you know, intimate knowledge of how a job or a set of jobs are done within the district, that's our backup as school committee. We really want the people who are experts in those things, whether it be transportation, IT, or whatever, to review those things. And then there's a handful that goes through Dr. Berdos and anyone she wants to designate. That's stuff that's more global district stuff that's also fairly particular in terms of HR and things of that nature. And then that puts us at, and at this point, we have a bunch teed up and ready to go. And we've, I think, passed or have in process 10 that we've done so far, but that's a lot of work getting to that point. But in the upcoming weeks, if it's certain things with housekeeping and whatnot, we'll work with Dr. Berdos and you, Madam Chair, to just see if there's appropriate times we can fit it in, knowing that throughout the spring we typically have longer meetings.
All right.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. I think we should, my personal opinion is we should keep to the commitment of having the policy subcommittee report back and you know, first reads and discussion.
keep it going.
If we can, every meeting. You know, if there's a reason why we shouldn't or we can't, then we'll kind of take that as we come. But I think for me, it's been great. And it's also been great to have sort of a snapshot into the work that you guys are doing because it's so substantial and, you know, important. So thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Any other
Then, oh, yeah, sorry.
opinions by anyone else?
No,
mean-
I just, before we begin the second readings, I just want to make sure I understand the system. The red is the original changes. The blue is the changes from the first reading to the second reading?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I
And then
thought.
black is original text.
Correct.
Great.
Thank you for the.
Thanks.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And as we go through, you know, we'll consider these one by one for second readings. If they're, in the event that there's substantial changes from the first reading to this one, we'll say that and then suggest that we read the whole policy, just to get the new version in the record, which is the case for the first one that's on the agenda. EFD, there are some significant changes. The reason there are significant changes is because of the close reading of our food services director, a external help on a policy audit coming from DESE that timed right between these two regular school committee meetings, and also suggestions coming from both admin and committee members. So with that, I was going to suggest that we read the full EFD.
Do you feel that that's necessary and
I
instead of reading
absolutely
the
do.
paragraph? Yeah.
I would,
Yeah, if only because
there's some
there's about.
substantial changes to this one.
Yeah, and they weren't just editing changes, there's some substantive and
Yes.
structural changes. So in effect, the policy has a different effect.
Well, sure. No, I'm seeing the blue here, but it looks like the one paragraph is the, with the,
Correct.
and the end. Okay, are the changes you've made? Right.
All right, and then with that, I'll do the reading. File EFD. School nutrition program charge policy. Yes, we changed the name of the policy. The school committee is committed to providing students with healthy, nutritious meals each day so they can focus on schoolwork, while also maintaining the financial integrity of the meal program and minimizing any impact on students with charges for a la carte purchases. The purpose of this policy is to ensure compliance with any federal, state, and local reporting requirements in effect, as well as provide oversight and accountability for the collection of outstanding student balances. Administration of the policy. The district is responsible for ensuring that the food services accounts are properly managed and accurately reported. The administration will closely monitor student school meal accounts with the goal of having all in good standing, thus eliminating negative balances. Skip ahead. Under no circumstances will a student be...
Excuse me, sorry, charges and balances. It's on the bottom.
Oh, sorry, heading,
It's okay.
charges and balances. Thank you. Under no circumstances will a student be denied a meal or receive an alternative meal due to a negative account balance. Each student will be allowed to take one regular meal per meal service period. Students may want to receive additional meals or purchase a la carte items. Students will pay for additional meals at the regular rate approved by school committee. Student accounts will be maintained by the district food service program. The parent/guardian is responsible for any meal charges incurred beyond the free meals provided. If there is a financial hardship, the parent/guardian should contact food services directly to discuss payment options such as an individualized repayment plan. Payments. Payments for additional food purchases beyond the regular meal will be made to the district food nutrition program. Parents/guardians will be notified of account balances or deficits at regular intervals as prescribed by the district. At no time shall any staff member give payment notices to students unless that student is known to be an emancipated minor who is fully responsible for themselves or is over the age of 18. If parents/guardians have issues with students' purchases, they should contact the district for assistance. Parents/guardians may pay in advance for anticipated purchases beyond the free meal allowed during each meal service period. Further details are available on the school district webpage and in student handbooks. Funds should be maintained in accounts to minimize the possibility that a child may be without a positive balance in their account on any given day. Any remaining funds for a particular student, whether positive or negative, will be carried over to the next school year. All school cafeterias possess computerized point-of-sale cash register systems that maintain records of all monies deposited and spent for each student, and those records are available to parents/guardians by setting up an online account. See handbooks for more details, or by speaking with the school's food service director. The point-of-sale system is designed to prevent direct identification of a student's account status. Parents/guardians will receive automated low balance notices. If notices do not result in payment, the food service director shall turn the account over to the business office. Blocks on accounts. Parents/guardians may contact in writing the food services director to place a block on their student's account to prohibit the purchase of a la carte items or set restrictions for daily spending. Refunds. For any student who has withdrawn, a written request for a refund of any funds remaining in the student account must be submitted. For students who are graduating, a refund may be issued with a written request, or funds can be transferred to a sibling's account with a written request. Remaining balances. Any positive balances may remain on the account to be used the following school year, be transferred to a sibling's account, or be refunded to the parent/guardian with written request. Refunds for withdrawn and graduating students. Any unclaimed funds after 180 days will become the property of the Foxborough Public Schools Food Service Program.
The superintendent.
Yep, down here. Sorry, a lot crossed out. The superintendent shall ensure that there is appropriate and effective collection procedures and internal controls within the school district's business office that meet the requirements of law. Each school handbook shall contain detailed instructions for family assistance. reimbursement to food service for deficit accounts. Bad debt must be written off as an operating loss and may not be absorbed by the nonprofit school food service account. Repayment of bad debt resulting from unpaid meal charges must be restored using non-federal funds at year end. These funds may come from the school district's general fund, special funding from the state or local governments, or any other non-federal sources. Collection efforts may continue into the next school year. Legal references, MGL 7172, USDA School Meal Program Guidelines, May 2017, Chapter 28 of the Acts of 2023, USDA Child Nutrition Program, National School Lunch Program, Massachusetts Free Meals Program, cross-references policy JQ, which is student fees, fines, and charges, adopted October 15th, 2018.
Phew.
Let's not do that again.
Can I have a quick question on the top of the last page? It just has the heading Foxborough Public Schools. Should we just strike that out?
Yeah, I think that's just a formatting.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That was an old footer.
Sorry, just asking.
No, that's fine, it shouldn't be there. What else?
Looks good. Thank you for your hard work, and thank you to Janice Watts, too.
Motion to approve policy or file EFT, the school nutrition program charge policy.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions, or comments? All right, all in favor of adopting the policy? And that would be 500. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janice.
The next policy is file EFE. The only change we made between the last two meetings was also as a result of the audit, and we simply just added the one line that they recommended we add.
Motion to waive the second reading of file EFE, the civil rights complaint policy for child nutrition programs.
Second.
All in favor? All right, 500.
Motion to approve file EFE, civil rights complaint policy for child nutrition programs.
Second.
All in favor? 500. Thank you very much.
Yay.
All right. I make a motion to waive the reading of file DEC, federal funds supplement, not supplement policy. Sorry.
Second.
All in favor? 500. Thank you very much.
I make a motion to approve file DEC, federal funds supplement, not supplant policy.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, 500.
Make a motion to waive the reading of file DGA, authorized signatures.
Second, sorry, I wasn't reading.
All in favor? All right.
I make a motion to approve policy file DGA, authorized signatures.
Second.
All in favor? 500. Thank you.
I think it's back to me, right?
Okay.
Yeah, motion to waive the second reading of file DJA, purchasing authority.
I second.
All in favor?
I make a motion to,
Did you?
I said all in favor?
No, I didn't hear, but the count of the vote.
500.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to approve file DJA, purchasing authority.
I second.
All in favor? 500. Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion to waive the second reading of file DK, payment procedures.
Second.
All in favor? 500.
I make a motion to approve policy file DK, payment procedures.
Second.
All in favor? 500.
Hallelujah.
Wow. Well, again, can't say thank you enough to you guys. been a really big project, and I know you have a lot of work ahead of you, and you guys have been amazing. Thanks. All right, we are on to, if there's no further discussion.
I just like, and I know you'll probably hear about it later, but because of the audit and that there were many changes that were added to those policies, I just want to take a moment and congratulate Janice Watt for the outstanding audit that she ended up having. I don't know, Karen, if you had anything you wanted to add from that audit.
I just wasn't surprised. So, I mean, she's awesome, and kudos to Janice. Really good.
Thank you so
audit.
much.
Thank you
We
for all your
appreciate
work,
you.
Janice.
Thank you.
For supporting us so well.
You make it easy.
For sure. All right, do we have any additional comments? Okay, we're going to move on to Ms. Sheridan. We have a few donations. We're going to talk about
I
acceptance.
have 2 donations for you tonight. So one is a $200 gift card from School Pulse. The high school completed a survey for data collection, and with completing that survey, they get this donation of $200 in the way of a gift card. So that's the first one.
Okay.
Do you want to do both and then?
You can, whatever you want. You can
and-
do.
Ms. Sharon, I have a question. So, and I think it's great. I'm sure we're going to approve it. But who decides what to do with the $200?
They can use it for whatever they want. The high school,
So
there's
the
no.
high school.
It's the high school. It's no restrictions. It's
Okay.
just educational purposes for the high school.
Okay, thank you.
The second one is Foxborough Gymnastics, donation of $2,000. This one does have a restriction, and this one is to pay for an assistant high school gymnastics coach.
Oh, cool.
Great.
So, motion to accept the School Plus Panel Loyalty Award debit card in the amount of $200.
Second.
Any further questions, comments, discussion? All right, all in favor? 500. Thank you very much.
Want to do the next one, Rob?
Somebody else is more than welcome to do.
All right. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You can do it.
Make a motion to approve the donation for a assistant coach for the Foxboro gymnastics team
In the
Second.
amount of-
in the amount of $2,000. So,
That's
Second.
okay. Any further questions, comment, discussion? Okay, all in favor? 500. Thank you very, very much. And we really appreciate all the donors
Cheers.
and Ms. Sheridan's work. Now we are on to our last point of discussion, which is community update. And you know what? I'm just gonna ask any further. Okay, all right. Community update.
None?
Okay. Nate? Nothing. Dr. Burdos, anything?
What's that?
Dr. Burrows? Been quiet tonight. No? Brent?
Actually, you know what, to go back, just as a reminder, our parents, that we have a professional development day on Friday, and that there were no students in school.
Don't send them.
Teachers only.
And staff.
Brent?
No, I don't.
Michelle?
I just want to update everybody. We had our community resource fair last Wednesday at the Ahern. It went very well. We had about 35 vendors, and we had about 35 families who attended, so we consider that a success. One of the comments made by one of the parents, one of the families that came in, is that they were very happy to see that we were running it again, because they attended the previous year, and they were just so overwhelmed by the amount of resources and vendors that were available, that they became overwhelmed, that they actually needed the second year to come back and actually target what they actually needed, because it was overwhelming. It is a room full of about 35 vendors across different realms of student needs, and it can be overwhelming. It is one of the largest places with that many vendors. Like, again, that's one of the feedbacks, like, people have not seen a room with that many resources in one place. So it was very successful, so.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Mr. Michael Isaac, for your support on that. We appreciate it.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for your continued work on that, too, and bringing it back to us. That's amazing. Nothing here, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? 500. Thank you very much. Everybody,
everybody.
have a great day.